A few years ago, I'd never even heard of BUL Armory. Some of you remember the video that I made about the BUL SAS-2 Ultralight 2011, and in that review, I said it's one of the best 1911 type pistols I've shot. Apparently, I was just out of the loop because BUL seems to be relatively well known among 1911 tournament shooters, and for that matter, BUL's been in business for 3 decades plus now, so it isn't like they're a new company either. BUL's most popular firearm models are essentially high-quality clones of existing designs in various price points. Of course, they manufacture well-made 1911 style pistols like this 2011, and this seems to be their primary market, and those tend to be generally geared towards competition shooters. There's also the Cherokee line of pistols, which I've got right here. The Cherokee is more or less a polymer-framed CZ75 clone. I own a first generation and this, a third generation Cherokee, and a video on these guns will be out soon. These pistols are much less expensive than the top tier 2011 pistols, although what you see is what you get. The Cherokee is a good but basic copy of the CZ75. BUL's even tried their hand at designing their own pistols in the past. I made a video about this, the BUL Impact, which was an unsuccessful caliber convertible pistol that got hamstrung by expensive proprietary magazines and the fact that no one really cares to convert a perfectly good 9mm to 40 or 45 anymore these days, just like no one wants to convert their broadband connection to dial-up. Still a great gun, and I picked one up used for 200 bucks. TFBTV went to EWA, like the European SHOT Show, for the first time this year, so you can imagine my delight when I saw that BUL was making a Glock-type handgun. A favorite manufacturer of mine, building off of possibly the greatest handgun design ever, the Glock 19, Glock 17 style pistol. There have been a lot of Glock clones as of late. The Gen 3 Glock came about in 1999, meaning that the 20-year patent recently expired, and now many manufacturers out there are just cranking out their own versions of the Gen 3 Glock 19. The thing is, it's impossible to beat Glock at their own game, strictly speaking. What I mean by that is if you're going to manufacture a Glock clone for it to be actually viable on this market, it's got to be something else. It's either got to be cheaper or with more features than a box stock Glock. After all, if you're cranking out Gen 3 Glock clones and you're charging Gen 3 Glock prices, why would anyone buy your knockoff Glock off instead of the genuine article? The market's brought this philosophy to bear. That's how things have been playing out. You're basically seeing 2 different types of Glock clones, models that cost more than a stock Glock while including more options, matched triggers, optic readiness, undercuts, more aggressive slide serrations, and even aesthetic improvements for the feeble-minded among you who believe that there's something more beautiful than a clean, stock factory Glock. But we're talking about companies like ZEV with the OZ-9, which is a fantastic pistol, by the way. It's a chassis-based Glock-type pistol, meaning you can swap out the frame sizes. You also have manufacturers like Shadow Systems charging more than Glock, but offering similar models with more features. On the other hand, you've got manufacturers who maybe aren't up to the Glock standard, but they aren't charging the Glock standard prices either. Take, for instance, the Stoeger 9 that Hop recently reviewed. It's $225 street price. And the PSA Dagger, which of course was also reviewed by Hop, which I think comes in at like the $300-ish range. So they're similar to Glock, maybe not up to the Glock standard, but a lot less expensive. So if you want to compete, you've either got to offer more or you've got to charge a lot less. BUL's followed this formula with the Axe, and in my opinion, theirs might be the best Glock clone on the market dollar for dollar right now. BUL's been doing this whole gun making thing for a while, since 1990 to be exact, and they make quality handguns. I've only got a few hundred rounds through this gun, and it's been 100% reliable, but I'm not going to tell you today that it's as durable or as reliable as a Glock. But I am telling you that BUL is a reputable manufacturer, so it'd be safe to assume that you're probably going to get reliable performance and good durability out of their handguns. BUL's taking a somewhat conservative approach. They're not charging more than Glock, at least for the entry-level model. They're not charging less than Glock. They're tracking the 650-ish Glock MSRP, but what they've done is it's like they went to Glock Talk, they went down a list, took the most popular Glock mods, and applied them to the Axe series. And I say the Axe series because there's a handful of models that are going to be introduced, although not all of them are going to make it to the United States. MSRP is going to be $650 for the base model to $960, but we'll go over the full lineup in just a second. Just if you could, just 1 second. What's the number one complaint about factory Glocks? Probably the stock trigger. I don't necessarily have a problem with the stock Glock trigger, but I'm not going to lie to you and say it didn't take some getting used to. Glock fanboy through and through, though I might be, I wouldn't dare say that a stock Glock has the best trigger out of the box, lest I lose what little credibility I still have with you guys. BUL has fixed this with an amazing trigger. It really is. Right out of the box. Right around 4 pounds, might break into about 3.5 pounds. It's a match trigger, about as good as it gets for a striker fired gun, and it's all metal. If I wasn't lazy, I'd check to see if I could drop this trigger into one of my stock Glocks, but I bet I could. Frankly, I think BUL should look into selling the trigger as a separate plug and play component for people who don't want to swap off the OG Glock frame, but they want a trigger upgrade. I get it. I'm old-fashioned, and I'm probably in the minority here, but I'm not a huge fan of red or gold contrast accent parts that we're seeing show up. And unfortunately, depending on the model you get from BUL, you're getting one or both. The Axe series has a red trigger blade that I bet most people think looks pretty cool, but it's an unfortunate fact that this opinion is incorrect. Another popular mod, and one that could be pretty costly, are modifications to the slide. More slide serrations, slide windows to make the slide lighter, optics cuts to add a red dot. I guess now's an appropriate time to delve into the different models. Essentially, you've got the base model Axe, which is the Cleaver. The Cleaver's got great aggressive slide serrations, but no optics compatibility. This is like the entry-level gun that'll come in compact Glock 19 size or full-size Glock 17 size. Of course, the full size will take Glock 17 mags, has a 4.5-inch barrel. The compact is a 15-round gun with a 4-inch barrel. The next model is my favorite, and it unfortunately won't be coming to the United States. That's the Hatchet. The Hatchet only comes in compact size, and as far as I can tell, the only difference between the Hatchet and the Cleaver is that the Hatchet has these awesome Titleist of Death golf ball dimples in the slide. The final step up is the compact or the full-size Tomahawk. The Tomahawk comes optics ready, and as another improvement from Glock, instead of using plates, the Tomahawk uses the dominant Trijicon RMR footprint for mounting an optic. While you're married to one specific footprint instead of the plate system, let's face it, for full-size handguns, the RMR is the Mountain Dew of footprints, while everything else is the sickening, pathetic Czech Country Mist budget brand of footprints. The Tomahawk also has different slide serrations, a lightning cut that's basically like a window at the top of the slide so you can show your kids' friends the awesome gold titanium nitrided fluted barrel that it has. Even though the people that buy these barrels are doing it 99% of the time because they think it looks cool, titanium nitride does have some hardening properties, and fluting does make the barrel lighter. So I'm going to give the titanium nitrided fluted barrel a pass, although it's a little bit like the white Oakleys of gun accessories. The Tomahawk also has slide serrations similar to the Cleaver, but a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more thorough. It's unfortunate that the Tomahawk's the only one that comes with RMR footprint, because I'd love to be able to use an optic on the Cleaver or the Hatchet without committing to an auto-zoned out slide and barrel combo. I'd prefer something a little more subtle. Speaking of which, all of the models are going to be introduced in a natural stainless finish or a PVD coating. I've had my Cleaver here for about a month now. I haven't seen any rust form yet, but I'm very skeptical of natural or untreated slides. People like the way they look, but usually after a few months in humidity, getting sweat on, they're going to start to form rust. Even true blasted stainless steel slides like those on the Axe. PVD, or physical vapor deposition, is a durable method of corrosion proofing a slide these days. So if I were picking up one of these guns, my choice would be the black PVD Hatchet, although it'd be great to get any version of the Axe that's optics cut without committing to a fluted barrel and holes in the slide. I would say that the PVD Hatchet is damn near a perfect handgun if I could get an RMR cut, night sights, no colorful accents from the factory, but unfortunately at this time, only the blasted stainless steel slide Cleaver and Tomahawk are planned to be introduced in the US. No PVD, no Hatchet. least not yet. The frames are also well featured and they're identical throughout the Axe range. I think the synthwave aesthetic of the grip checkering might elicit varying opinions, but my opinion is that it looks pretty cool and it's definitely grippy, so I'm good with it. The trigger guards are also undercut, which is another popular Glock mod. Undercutting is a process of contouring the bottom of the trigger guard so that your middle finger and your trigger finger make a more natural grip with your dominant hand. I know that a few of us who've taken the Glock operator course sometimes walk away with blisters on our middle fingers, so this is a nice touch, popular mod. Another feature paying homage to BUL Armory's tournament shooting pedigree is the addition of this speed ledge or gas pedal on both sides of the frame near the muzzle end of the gun. This is a molded and stippled pad on the dust cover of the gun that gives your support thumb a fulcrum upon which it can exert a little bit of extra pressure. Taron Butler does this to all of his guns, and that slight improvement on grip can translate to better recoil control and thus better performance. The Axe, of course, has a standard Picatinny rail as well, not the Glock proprietary pick rail, the standard 1913 pick rail. The magwell's flared for easy insertion, magazine insertion, and it features two half-moon cutouts at the bottom. Additionally, BUL packages the Axe with two metal-lined magazines, which is another interesting feature considering many third-party mags are just plastic. The Axe magazines also have a tabbed base plate. What that means is if you've got some sort of ammunition failure or other issue with the magazine getting stuck in the gun's magwell, between the cutouts at the bottom of the grip and the tabs on the magazine, you'll be able to get more leverage to kind of rip this magazine out if you need to. And by the way, the Axe is of course compatible with standard Glock magazines, and we tested the Axe out with Magpul, of course BUL, and OEM Glock mags. All of them work flawlessly. The Axe also has a pronounced beaver tail that helps soak up the recoil without being so prodigious that it's unwieldy or difficult to conceal if needed. One of my favorite upgrades to the Axe is the fact that the Axe uses the Glock extended slide release. A major complaint about the slide release on standard Glocks is that it's too small. Glock's extended magazine release adds a small ledge that somehow makes the slide release twice as easy to use, but it's still discreet enough that you don't bump it accidentally. This is a wonderful addition to the pistol that indicates that the BUL engineer who worked on this gun is familiar with his medium of simulation. With all of the frame mods, the big question becomes, will the Axe work in a Glock 19 holster? Gun camera guy extraordinaire Ryan weighs in on this.
All right, so we got the BUL Axe. We were checking some holster compatibility. Looks like the standard single retention Safariland, both here and the one back on my belt. This fits just fine. Of course, Glock 19 pattern. Tenacore Glock 19 holster. This is the Khartoum 3. Fits just fine. Good retention on that. I would think that it would be pretty safe bet that most of your Glock 19 holsters will fit.
Shockingly enough, even trigger guard and minimalist holsters work just fine with the Axe in spite of the recontoured trigger guard. Here's a Raven Vanguard for the Glock 19. Trigger guard holster works perfectly. Size and weight are almost identical between the Glock 19 and the Axe, at least the Cleaver model. Dimensions, pretty much the same. The Glock 19 weighs 21 ounces unloaded and without a magazine. The Cleaver Compact is just a quarter ounce heavier. Another complaint about stock Glocks, of course, you hear it all the time, plastic sights. Instead of the plastic ball in the basket sights that the Glock comes with, the Axe comes with metal 3-dot sights. That's a pretty lengthy list of features, and almost as if to signal that BUL thoroughly went down the line of the most common upgrades made to Glock pistols. Almost like a funny little Easter egg. BUL makes sure to call your attention to the fact that it uses an aluminum recoil spring rod. It's funny because Glock accessory culture is also funny. I remember back when the Gen 3 Glocks first came out, you'd buy your Gen 3 Glock, it would be basically perfect, ready to go out of the box, needed nothing, maybe night sights. Back then you didn't have optics cuts or fancy slide serrations or Gucci third-party accessory companies like ZEV turning out rainbow titanium barrels and fruity shit like that in the year 2000. You basically got yourself a stock Glock, and by God, you were happy with it. But you Threeper boys, you know who you are, you sheepdogs out there, it's like you guys always have to take something that's perfectly fine and make it different, to be a special snowflake. If it doesn't have a Spartan helmet on it, I won't drive it, shoot it, or use it to carry currency and identification in my back pocket. 20 years ago, your only options were Glock faux accessories. That would be like a shitty overpriced $200 beam shot laser, if you remember those. And perhaps the two biggest offenders, separating sheepdogs from their money for decades, the butt plug and the metal recoil rod, because every Glock that ever had a plastic recoil rod broke. Obviously, I'm kidding, because at that time, Glocks had been chugging along for years with plastic recoil rods, but that didn't stop metal recoil rods from becoming a common upgrade. As a final brushstroke to show that BUL implemented pretty much all of the most common upgrades made by stock Glock owners, they made sure to use the favorite accessory of people who had stock Gen 2, Gen 3 Glocks and too much money. And you know what? That's fine. It's got a metal recoil rod. That's great. I didn't have the opportunity to check compatibility with every single part on this gun, but my understanding is that the Axe should be almost 100% parts compatible with a Gen 3 Glock. For the Glock 19 size version, that means that pretty much any Gen 3 part's going to work, and any Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5 barrel. I put a Gen 2 Glock 19 barrel onto the Axe, with the Axe slide, with the Axe recoil assembly, and it seemed to function just fine, although I didn't shoot it at the range this way. To push things into Alabama territory, I forced an unholy union between a second generation Glock 19 slide and its cousin Axe frame. No surprise, it fit perfectly. It seems like it works perfectly, not guaranteeing that, and it looks kind of cool, TBH. But to make sure that third-party barrels with the Glock 19 worked in the Axe, I picked up a threaded barrel by Silencer Co. for the Glock 19, and I used that with the new Dead Air Primal. Everything functioned perfectly, so I can vouch for at least the Silencer Co. threaded barrel working very well with the Axe and a suppressor. How did the Axe perform at the range? Wonderfully. The trigger's fantastic, it really is. The grip with the extended beaver tail, with the gas pedal, ergonomic contouring.
Brand new BUL Axe. This is the Cleaver, which is their entry-level model. We're going to start at 10 yards. This is my first time shooting it. We're going to shoot at this little 6-inch plate at 10 yards. All right, so that was a non-issue. Obviously, this takes Glock magazines, so we brought several different Glock magazines. This is the 19X mag, which is a 19-round magazine, just to see how it would work. I'm assuming that we're not going to have any problems. That was pretty good. Shit, that was 10 rounds. Of course, I saw the first round just go perfectly in the center. I mean, look at that. That at 10 yards, I mean, you're talking about 2 inches. Just shooting free-handed with no support. That's pretty good for me. I know that there are other guys out there watching this who are probably competition shooters who can do better than that, but I am really impressed with the accuracy out of this thing. That trigger really makes a huge difference. And the sights kind of suck. Like, they're just regular old 3-dot sights. You know, if you got even better sights, like with a fiber optic front, you'd be even better. Let's try 50 yards. Extendo. It works with the stick mags. Like, you've got, this is a Glock factory 33 rounder. Works just fine. Works just fine with the 19 rounder, and it's pretty accurate, even though, again, the sights are a little bit, these 3-dot sights a little chunky. Not really anything to write home about, but this is a shooter. Like, this is a good shooter.
We shot somewhere in the range of a half case through it. We had no issues with reliability, no failures to feed, extract anything. Everything functioned flawlessly, even with third-party magazines. Accuracy was great, manipulation was good, mostly good. Because I, and only I, have the wrong size hands, where inserting a magazine would actually cause that BUL Armory mag base plate to pinch the bottom of my palm in the area where these little half-moon cutouts are. It didn't happen every time, but it was slightly annoying. The controls work very well. As I said, I love the extended slide release. The mag release button is actually closer to what you would see in a Gen 4 or Gen 5 Glock. That's to say, it's a little bit bigger pad. might be reversible, but remember, out of the box, we're talking about a Gen 3 Glock clone, so this is a righty compatible, not fully ambi, out of the box gun. So if your dad lost a bet with the devil and you're left-handed, I'm sorry. I only have a slight few reservations. Number one, like I said, getting pinched by the magazine, but that's unique to me. Nobody else seemed to have that problem on the range. Number two, as I mentioned, I'm a little wary of the untreated finish, although so far so good. This is truly a bead-blasted stainless steel slide, so it probably is going to have some good natural corrosion resistance, but I would prefer a PVD coating for concealed carry because I'm going to sweat all over it. Finally, Glocks are famous for their durability, their reliability. They've been around for almost 40 years, and it's not extremely rare to see a Glock with tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of rounds through it, and it's still trucking. The BUL Axe is brand new. I mean, brand new. It doesn't have the track record that the Glock does on the market, but everything else is promising. BUL's a great company. They say that the Axe was 5 years in development and testing, so it should be ready to go out of the box today. Understandably, for many of us, no replacing the original. But for many others, there's certain features that we maybe want to see in a $500 or $600 gun that can be cost prohibitive to add later. In that case, if you like the Glock's proven formula, but you don't want to invest hundreds of dollars to add a competition trigger, grip and frame mods, different slide serrations, metal sights, beaver tail, an undercut trigger guard, blah, 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 BUL's a great choice. The Axe is well done and probably my pick for the best Glock clone on the market right now, dollar for dollar. Guys, that's it. I got to say thank you to Ventura Munitions, our longtime sponsor almost since day one. They provided all the ammo that we used. Top Gun Supply, your online shooting sports superstore. Love Tom and Michelle at Top Gun Supply. I know they sell the BUL Cherokee, so I'm hoping they pick up some copies of the Axe to sell to you guys. If you'd like to win a gun from TFBTV, make sure that you join the TFBTV crew on either Utreon or Subscribestar. Check the link right here on your screen, tfbtv.gun.team. It's got all the details. We give away 4 guns a month, every month, including the BUL Cherokee, which we've given away quite a few times. So if you're interested, support us. We're viewer supported, so we need you. That's it for today, guys. Take care.